shocking figures. More people are being killed from knife attacks than at any other time since records began. Almost a fifth more in the last year alone. In a way, that's probably not surprising because we hear about it so much and the devastation, don't we? But stark when you hear it like that.
And it's totally destructive for people's lives, of course.
Absolutely.
Former gang member Carl Scott knows the danger of knife crimes all too well. His best friend died in his arms after being attacked, and he himself has been stabbed on more than one occasion. Now, though, he's campaigning for life-saving bleed control kits to be as accessible as defibrillators on our high street. Will Godley's has more.
So you'll keep pushing in, and as you can see, I can no longer get any more in.
Carl Scott has been in and out of gangs for most of his life. He was stabbed 3 times and his friend died in his arms. Now he's determined to stop people dying from this kind of violence by installing bleed control kits in his community. It's hoped these kits can reverse a worrying trend on Britain's streets, with latest figures showing fatal stabbings are at a record high, and the largest rise in deaths are amongst 16 to 17-year-old boys. Kyle Miller was just 15 when his best friend Connor was stabbed almost 6 years ago. They were walking along this road when the attack occurred, and without a bleed control kit, Connor died from his wounds. Kyle believes if there was a kit that he knew how to use, he could have saved Connor's life.
Just seeing how you can pack a wound out and, you know, suppress the bleeding, I think maybe he would have had a chance.
Bleed control kits have already saved the lives of 20 people in Britain. Carl hopes by teaching his community how to use the kits, they can save many more lives to come.
Now, we're delighted to say Carl joins us now alongside Dr. Hillary. Good morning, Carl. You've got the kit in front of you, haven't you? So let's show how it works. Do you need a dummy?
A dummy?
That'll be me.
So we have like a chest seal dressing. So if someone was to have a chest wound or a stomach wound, this would then be implemented over the top of that wound. A lot of air would go into that wound itself, which could then get trapped. So when you implement this onto the wound itself...
You might have to kneel down for this one, Martin. Are you ready for it?
You can have a go?
Yeah, I've never unbuttoned my shirt on television before. There we go, there's the first. I think it's a good cause, isn't it? Here we go. That's all I'm doing.
You'll implement this onto above where the wound is exactly.
Yeah.
And then what that helps the air to come out. So, and it stops the air going in.
Right.
But with this...
So it's like a one-way valve?
One-way valve, yeah. So you
it.
could have, you know, you could be sweaty on there and it would still stick.
Fine.
So this would help the air to come out because they have different pockets within this that would help that come out.
And so what else is in this kit?
And this bit?
So this is a practice wound. So when we have...
So I can take this off and you can use that on there.
Yeah.
It's enough of my chest.
So when you have like a small wound like this, so you'd put your you'd obviously have to put your gloves on. And you'd put the finger in and you'd find out where the blood is coming, so you'd feel the pump. So when you have your gauze, you'd push this in as far as you can push it in.
Right.
And when you can't push that in any further, you'd then fold that over and you'd compress onto that wound, obviously, until the ambulance service was to arrive.
This looks a bit... Being straight, this looks a bit tricky. If I came to this and I didn't know what I was doing, I mean, how will it be explained in the pack what to do? Or should it only be people who really know what they're doing and giving it a go?
So when you open the kit, when you've put the code in to get into the kit itself...
So just talk us through what would happen then from the start, because we're jumping into this, which is great, because you're demonstrating it to us. You come upon a terrible situation. It's obvious someone's been stabbed.
Yeah.
You call 999, and that's the point when this kit would come into action.
So you'll tell them exactly where you are, the location. They will then give you a code to get into the box, which this bag will be in. It'll be a Daniel Baird
And would they then talk you through what you had to do?
They will talk you through.
Right.
Inside the box, there's instructions in the door.
Yeah.
But if there's an incident that's happened a minute down the road, there's also going to be instructions that's also inside the bag.
Right.
Which is colour-coded, so it can tell you exactly where these are supposed to be implemented on the body.
I mean, the need for something like this is huge, and Hillary, we'll talk to you in a moment. We've got a map here. This is where every fatal stabbing took place in London last year. I mean, it's shocking. 68, that's fatal. We know there's many more that are injuries. By the way, we're not ignoring the rest of the country. It's just those are the figures that were available to us. Do you think if more people knew about these kits and they were located in a very widespread way, it would be helpful. Could it have saved your friend's life, do you think?
My friend got taken through a stab wound in the heart, so he sadly wouldn't have made it. But there is many people out there within the country that these kits are vital to help to save their lives. So I think the more awareness that we raise with having these cabinets put up within all hotspot areas within the UK, more people are, you know, likely to be saved.
And who's paying for them?
So these kits work via donations, which is probably one of the most biggest struggles that you can find. Obviously, I know we're in a cost of living crisis, but, you know, just £1 for a donation to get these kits put up, it goes a long way. And I think with that, the community are also helping with the prevention of the case of someone having a severe injury. But I must stress that they aren't just about knife crime. They can be used in all severe injuries, you know, car crashes, people being run over by a car, building site injuries. So they can be used for anything that can involve
it's just that your entry into seeing the need has been because of your horrific own story.
Yeah, because of knife crime, yeah.
And you yourself have been stabbed too.
Yeah, I've been stabbed 3 times, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you say that quite casually, but it must have been devastating.
It was at the time. I mean, to be fair, when I was growing up as a young person, it was more of a badge of honour.
Really?
Yeah, and
it's part of the problem, isn't it, really?
Exactly that, and I think it was the environment that I was in at the time. Now I've got older and I look back at it, and it does affect me. I've done numerous interviews throughout social media, and it does come back, and I've got quite upset on some podcasts that I've done. So it does affect me, yeah.
So how long ago was the last time, so we can get some context?
So I was 15 when my last one happened.
Gosh.
So, and yeah, it was damaging.
Hillary,
Very damaging.
how big do you think the NHS will get behind this? How big an impact could this have?
It could have a huge impact. In fact, the clinical director for violence protection in NHS is right behind these things. And this campaign's so important that Carl has instigated. He's doing great work teaching. I mean, because of his background, because he's come through a lot of trauma in his life, he's a great role model for people to listen to, and he can make a huge difference. But anyone can use these kits for anything, as in not just stabbings, shootings, car accidents, industrial accidents as well. And something like a tourniquet is so simple to put on.
Right, yes. So just remind us about that.
So if you're stabbed in a limb,
Yeah.
for example, if your femoral artery was cut, you could bleed out within 3 minutes. Now, an ambulance
Is
isn't
that
going
leg femoral artery? Excuse me.
In the thigh,
thank you. Yeah.
Or under the armpit, for example. These blood vessels, you could bleed out within 3 minutes, long before an ambulance gets there. But if you put a tourniquet on a limb, you cut all the blood supply off, you save that life. So that's so simple.
Tourniquet, just in simple terms, is something very tight that you put on a limb to stop the blood going further along the limb, above the injury.
It could be a piece of clothing, it could be a sleeve of a piece of clothing, but you can improvise. But that's a really good sort of industrial tourniquet. And you can do no harm with these kits.
No.
So you've got your fabric there, which is blood-clotting fabric. You compress the wound. Chest seal to stop the sucking injury, so air going in can't get out, compressing the heart and the lungs. So, you know, these things aren't expensive. Yes, the NHS could provide these. They can be sat next to a defibrillator in places like transport hubs, stations, pubs, restaurants, shopping centres. And if there were more of these available, we'd save more lives.
I believe that some London black cab drivers are also carrying military-grade bandages to do a similar type of job.
Absolutely.
So it's obviously, I mean, ultimately, the nearer we can get emergency medical kits and help to the places where people will need emergency medical kits and help, the better.
I mean, these kits are brilliant, and it sounds like we definitely should see more of them. Very quickly, Hills, but both of you, if you can, just run through what you should do if you see somebody with a stab wound or a bleeding wound. What's the first thing you should do?
Shout for help, call 999.
Yeah.
Ask where the nearest bleeding control kit is located.
Would you grab something to do a tourniquet?
Yeah, if it's a limb, you cut off the blood supply to the limb using a tourniquet as high up as possible, high up near the groin or high up near the shoulder. Also, you want to stem that bleeding, compress. If it's a chest or abdominal wound, more difficult, so you can't use a tourniquet, but you can use the bandage, anything to compress
hard.
Stop the bleeding,
wound, stop the bleeding if you can, But even if you're saving, 30 seconds before the ambulance gets there, potentially you're saving a life.
And as something that we'd all worry about, non-medical people, can we do any harm doing any of that, or is it always better to try than not to?
Always better to try. Always better to try. And as I say, Carl's turned his life around and he's doing great work. And he's coming across resistance because people don't want to see these kits for fear of people thinking, you know, their area is not safe. But that's like saying, you know, don't have a fire extinguisher because there might be an arsonist about. It's nonsense. We need these.
It's just about, it's the stigma that we're trying to face. I mean, Lynn Baird has set this up through the loss of her son. You know, West Midlands has got quite a lot of these boxes up. So where I've implemented them down in the southeast, it is a bit of a struggle to actually get someone to implement this onto their business walls,
I think the fact it
Well,
can help in car injuries and
yeah.
other types of injuries as well, perhaps in terms of branding, would be helpful to go forward. We wish you the best with it.
And Carl, well done for turning your life
Thank you.
around and doing something so valuable. It's lovely to chat to you.
Andrew, thank you.